All right. What is up, everyone? What is up? It has been a hot minute since at least myself has done a podcast here on the show. I know y'all probably see Jonathan a lot, but this is a special episode of Jawing and Balling because I got Jonathan on here with me tonight. Jonathan, how you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing good, Tony. It's a pleasure to be on this show. You know, we used to do just say the truth, and we used to be a great group on that show, and it's just great to be back on with you once again. It's been a minute.
It's a little bit of a flashback right now. You know, we got you on here. Mike is actually on the show. He's currently sliding in some DMs, respectfully, of course. He's sliding in some DMs currently, but Mike will be hopping in on the show with us. And then Pride may or may not be joining us here shortly. We'll have to see. But man, we've had a lot happen in the sports world here of lately. And probably the biggest thing that broke this week as far as sports go is DeShaun Watson. The judge came out and recommended that he get a 6-game suspension. Now, obviously, the way the NFLPA set everything up, they said, hey, Roger Goodell can still appeal this and actually make his own decision on if he wants to increase or decrease the punishment, which the big consensus is he's probably going to increase it. So Mike, how are you, sir? Before we get too deep into the topics, how are you?
I'm well. Very well.
Fantastic. How did your DMs go?
Very well.
Awesome. All right. So
the truth will prevail.
Hey.
That's all I'm going to say.
But anyway, we'll jump into it. So Jonathan, I'll start with you. I think we're all kind of under general consensus. The 6 games, we don't really know if that's enough for DeShaun. Like, there's been no physical evidence brought forth. All we have is basically he said versus she said. And he was already acquitted by a grand jury because basically lack of evidence. And 23 of the 24 have settled. There's still one that's actively pursuing a case against him. So Jonathan, I'll start with you. Is 6 games the right move, or because there's a lot of possibilities that they're going to increase this to possibly 12 games, maybe even an indefinite suspension for a year, which case I think both NFLPA and DeShaun Watson's team has said that they are going to sue and they are going to counter that if that comes to be the case. What's your thoughts on it?
Well, you said it best right there. You know, there were no substantial evidence whatsoever. You know, he wasn't indicted. He wasn't criminally charged. But, you know, there's just too many women involved. And when you have that amount of women who've come forward and, mention these allegations, those are red flags. You know, those can all these women possibly be lying? You know, I don't know. I don't know if they are. I felt like the punishment was lenient, but I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that it's a 6-game suspension. This is not the first time we've seen players get suspended lightly for their actions or, you know, for accusations that, you know, is against them. We've seen this before, but it's slight. And at the end of the day, DeShaun Watson is going to get back on the football field. You know, he's going to be back by week 6. I don't think the NFL is going to appeal it at all. I don't think the NFL is going to make.
They did.
They did?
Yeah, they actually did.
Oh, okay.
Like, Roger Goodell was like, yeah, nah, little homie, that's not enough.
Oh, okay, then.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a bit surprised then.
He had till tomorrow. He had till Thursday to appeal it, which they did. They have filed an appeal. However, we still don't know what the final verdict is going to be because, again, Goodell does have the authority and the option to increase that possible suspension.
Right.
Mike, you know, what's your thoughts? Because, again, you know, I think we all kind of have the same general consensus. This is one of those, there's not really a win-win situation. Like, there's nothing that substantial evidence-wise proves that he's guilty. Again, it's a he said, she said. I was taught by a very wise person at one point, if you got 12 different birds singing the same song and these birds all don't know each other and don't interact with each other in any way, there may be some truth to what is happening. And, like we saw, 24 of these women all went to court. 23 of them have settled. Now that's not an admission of guilt. That's not an admission of not being guilty, but that's still substantial. What's your thoughts as far as how much do you think Goodell is going to punish DeShaun for this?
I want to start off and say free Calvin Ridley. Not really the topic at hand, but for betting $50 on a football game that had nothing to do with your own team and then getting suspended an entire year.
It was 35. I think we're trying to over exaggerate it to try to give the NFL some leverage. It was 35, and like he offered to fill up someone's tank. Like I'm pretty sure it was the head coach. There's a conspiracy.
What are we talking about?
He filling gas tanks? He filling gas tanks?
Yeah, he said. So rumor had it that he went to his coach and he was like, the coach. He literally doesn't even know his name. That's why he just calls him coach. He was like, yeah, bro, look. I bet money I'll get I don't drop a single pass. He's like, if I drop one, I'll fill up a gas tank. That's what he said. If it's a lie, like that was one of the bets, and the NFL suspended him for that.
Yeah,
it's a shame.
It's definitely one of those things where I'm looking at other incidences, and now we're looking at Hollywood Brown, and we'll see what happens with that for just speeding, and it'll probably be something more than what DeShaun got. I don't think anybody has a problem in saying that they felt like DeShaun probably should have got more games. My problem with it, and I spoke with Pride about it earlier, is I don't understand where Goodell and everybody else throughout the entire league can say, we're hiring this judge and we're going to go based off her ruling, and she's a professional. She's one of the best judges in the game, and she's going to be able to really determine what he should be punished for. And then she punishes him, and Rodgers like, nah, fuck that. I'm taking this over. And to me, it's like, what's the point of having a system? What's the point of having a judge if at the end of the day, you're going to do what you want to do anyways? That to me is where it's like, I don't really on DeShaun's side, and I'm not on DeShaun's side. I think, what happened. I'm not going to sit here and say he's a criminal for life, because again, this isn't a case of sexual assault. This isn't a rape. This isn't anything like that. This is just a man who did some creepy shit allegedly. And like Tony said, where there's smoke, there's fire, and maybe not all 24 of them, were completely accurate, but there definitely were probably a couple cases, especially with the one who has remained to settle. I'm questioning, is that the first person to actually say this? But I do think at the end of the day, if you had a judge determine it, if you had a grand jury and none of them can really tell you what happened, I think it's kind of out of pocket after she fully gives, this is the amount of games I think you should give them, to sit here and say, no, we're still going to go about it our way. To me, it's like, then why didn't you just do that from the beginning? Why go through this process of an NFL judge? Why do all of this? You should have just did what you did with Ray Rice, or Ray Lewis, not Ray Rice. Ray Rice too. But, with everybody, Rodgers made these points, whether that be with Big Ben or a bunch of other people. It didn't go through a judge back then, and I don't understand really what the feeling of it was going through a judge now. It really doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and somebody brought up a really good point. So Goodell is actually the first commissioner that doesn't have any type of a law background. Like majority of them have all had some type of law degree, law background at some point. And like you said, Mike, it doesn't really make sense. If you're still going to do it, and maybe it's just a formality thing, so that way if DeShaun's defense team comes back or if he sues the NFL, you didn't go through due process. Goodell's not a lawyer. He doesn't know how the law works. He didn't see everything. He doesn't have a professional opinion. And Mike, you do bring up a good point, because it's a female judge who's, considered one of the best in her profession, very good at what she does, and she's a female. So if anybody could sympathize with the women that are bringing these accusations forward, it would more than likely be her. And the fact that she only recommended 6 games is probably what is the most surprising behind this. But yeah, I think it's probably going to be a significant amount of time missed. Pride, we've heard rumors it's probably going to be at least 12 games, maybe even an indefinite suspension. Is that what you're thinking as far as what we've seen so far? They're probably going to try and go for a year.
Yeah, I mean, when they first brought this to the judge, the NFL Players Association said we're good with 6. And the NFL was like, we want 12.
Yeah.
So it was going to come down to a situation that the judge, and this is the weird part, the judge was, excuse my French, she was fucked regardless of what she did.
Yes.
If she did 12, the Players Association would be appealing, and they would be coming after her and saying, look, all due respect, that's excessive.
Mhm.
Now, this is the main problem for all the people who are getting upset at DeShaun Watson. Before anyone says it's too lenient, provide me any evidence that the accusations are true. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Until you can provide evidence, I'm not going to blindly listen to accusations. Because once you do that, you're setting a horrible precedent. Because now guess what's going to happen? Oh, yeah. Patrick Mahomes cheating on his girl. He touched me. If I say that,
Pride.
then he can't say that.
Pride, I want to ask you something, sir.
Go ahead, please.
Would it kind of be like owning a network and being like, hey, so and so happened, but I don't have any evidence to speak on it, and I would like to not talk about it and move on? Is it kind of like that, but just like a take my word for it kind of thing?
Yeah. No, well, worse.
Worse.
Like this network example you're referring to,
right?
It's worse because there's evidence,
right?
So that's way worse.
Right.
That's way worse. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's almost as bad as faking needing a mental break and then going back on your word and doing the thing you need a break from.
Right. 100%. And asking people for money and then still.
And then giving that to a trick that done flipped you off.
Right. And then two tricks team up and now they're just super tricks and they're just jerking each other. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, they're like now at this point we're like super trick 3.
Right. It's like DeShaun Watson on a massage table. Everyone's just jerking each other all day. It's insane.
Replace. I will say this: if you replace massage table with Cash App, Mike, you and I are on the same boat.
Dude.
And you want to know what I really want to know out of all this? Is anybody getting a happy ending out of all this? Is anybody getting a happy ending?
I will say this right now.
No.
I will say this right now. This is what I believe actually happened. This is what I believe actually
happened.
Are
we still talking about DeShaun?
Yes, 100%.
Oh, okay. I was just making sure.
We're just talking about DeShaun. This is what I actually think happened. I think a couple instances the line was blurred.
Right.
Now, whether or not he did it or not, I don't know. I think at the bare minimum, with like at the minimum 2 or 3 of them, a line was crossed that both parties kind of see a different side on, right? So like he's probably like, hey, yo, tickle my butt. And she's like, Sway, what are you talking about? Type of stuff, right? Like,
right.
And then the other ones make no sense whatsoever. Like one chick talked about, yeah, he put his thing in me forcibly. And then what did you do? Well, I made an appointment with him, and it's like, wait up, huh? Pineapples? Yeah. Like, you see what I'm saying? So it's like, until I see that, and the biggest linchpin in the entire situation is they brought this to a grand jury. If anyone doesn't know what a grand jury is, I'll give you a quick little recap on it. A grand jury, you present your case to a grand jury. What the grand jury doesn't decide whether or not you're guilty. They determine whether or not you have enough evidence to take it to a legitimate jury. If a case can't get past the grand jury, if the prosecution can't get through that, you got there's 2 problems. Either problem number 1, you got no evidence, or problem number 2, your attorney got my IQ. It's either a bad story or a bad attorney. You can make a case. They stuck with the same attorney. Mm-hmm. So what does that tell you? Clearly, there's not enough evidence going on, right? What people aren't understanding, the 6 games is not because of DeShaun Watson did. The 6 games are because you put the NFL in a situation where their reputation is once again in the mud.
Right.
That's it. Whether or not he did it, the NFL frankly doesn't care because they're like, look, we don't have evidence. We don't. And remember, originally the NFL was with the Players Association in 6 games originally.
Yeah.
They were with them until all of a sudden Roger Goodell was like, you know what? Let me care about my job now because people have been calling for my job for like the last 4, 5, 6 years ish.
Yeah,
longer than that.
right? Like, well, I'm talking about when it actually started picking up heat. Like, when now he's like starting to change. Like, I don't know if y'all noticed the past few years, Roger Goodell's been flip floppy.
Well, I mean,
now it looked like. Go ahead.
He's been under scrutiny since 2012 because you got to think he became commissioner 2009 if I remember right.
Yes,
somewhere around there, yeah.
In 2011 you have the Aaron Hernandez thing.
Yep.
And then 2012 you have the Ray Rice thing. So back-to-back years you're taking L's as far as how you handle that whole situation. Like Aaron Hernandez is basically on trial for murder. And you let him play the whole season, including the Super Bowl. And then you have Ray Rice, you do a quick little punishment like, nope, we fixed it. And then, oh, crap. We shouldn't have punished him yet. Crap. And then he's backtracking. So,
then
you got Kaepernick. You've got Kaepernick. You've got that whole situation.
You let Greg Hardy play.
You let Greg Hardy play.
Wasn't he around when Ray Lewis killed someone?
No, he wasn't commissioner yet. That was kind of earlier in Ray's.
That was earlier?
Wasn't that Paul Tagliabue?
I think that was when I was a little kid.
I don't care if I was a little kid, grown kid, no kid, zero kid. Someone lost a kid. That's all I'm saying.
Well, no, I'm saying like he came. He started being commissioner in 2009, but I think I was like really little. Like I
really little when that happened.
Okay.
All I'm saying, look, if someone could take a life and play football, I don't want to hear nothing about nobody. That's all I'm saying. With all due disrespect, look, at the end of the day, bro, Roger Goodell is at this point he's only punishing DeShaun only because DeShaun unfortunately put the NFL in a situation where now their reputation is muddy.
Right.
That's it. That's the reality of the situation. And I feel like things would have been different if, instead of 20 women and then 15 of them making no sense whatsoever, maybe if it was just the original ones and you were actually able to hear the story, maybe sure that's something.
Right.
But like I said,
do you put into consideration though, Pride? Not to cut you off, but
no, good.
I think when I look at the judge and excuse me, I don't know her actual name. But that's how weak this trial was. Like no one's been paying attention. I don't even know who the judge was, but I heard she's very respected and she's very good at what she does. And my big thing is, I remember at the beginning of the season, DeShaun was choosing not to play, but then it turned into the Texans saying, we don't want you to play. So I think it played a role that he didn't play the entire of last season. And I think that's why you're looking at 6 games more so than 12. I think it is a part of it.
So I don't think so. And I'm going to explain you why. By the way, Sue L. Robinson. That's her name. Yeah. And her middle name is L stands for loss because she's handing losses out to motherfuckers left, right, center, bro. I've seen some of the stuff this lady be ruling on. Hey, yo, y'all thought Judge Judy was a savage? Shorty over here? Yeah, I ain't littering see around. I'm telling you that right now. But this is what I'm gonna tell you. This is why I tell you no. You gotta remember, DeShaun Watson did choose not to play. But why?
He wanted out.
NFL, no, that's not why. That's not why. Because if he went and gotten traded, he still would have been able to play. Because the NFL said the instant y'all activate this dude, he's indefinitely suspended. He's on the exempt list. They called that from the jump.
No, but that's what I'm saying is like it's kind of like even though it wasn't official that he was suspended, it was that understanding of the second this man even puts on a helmet, then that's when your punishment starts, which to me is kind of still being punished. It's basically like you have a prison sentence without a sentence. Like you're screwed no matter what. And it's kind of that point.
Yeah, to an extent. But again, I also have to push back with they weren't enough. That wasn't an official suspension.
Right. But don't you think like the way I was viewing it, and this is just me, but I think when you look at Miami, especially, and Brian Flores' situation and how they were trying to trade for DeShaun, but what it came down to was they knew if they traded for DeShaun, the second they activated him, then he was going to be suspended. So it's that conversation of why all of that was falling together. So at first, it's because I want out of Texas. And then then the women came, and that's when everything started, and everyone was questioning whether, the Texans set that up, which to me, but I mean, they're a part of it 100%. Yeah. But like, did they instigate that? I don't think so. And I think that's the biggest thing right now is to where it's like DeShaun has already served time. There's a reason he's in Cleveland and not Miami right now. And one of the biggest reasons is because the NFL said, listen, we're not going to suspend you, but if you even try to walk on a football field, you're done. And I think that's one of the biggest things right now. That's why the Texans didn't suit him up, is because they knew they'd lose all their trade value.
But even then, that like to me that still throws up a red flag because think about it. Like if you go ahead and whether DeShaun ever admits if he's guilty, not guilty, whatever.
Oh, he can't. Now he can't. Now he
Right.
can't.
Like
What? Oh, listen, I'm gonna say this right now. If I'm DeShaun, I serve the suspension as soon as I come out. I'm switching myself out. As soon as I'm doing the suspension, all the kids, I'm switching myself out. I'm gonna have a tell all. I'm gonna be like R. Kelly, but actually tell the truth instead of crying on the camera.
It's bad.
But anyway, to your point, Mike. To me, that still raises a red flag because okay, say I have a plan to go commit robbery, but I go ahead and I tell the jail, hey, I want to go ahead and spend like 6 months in prison, then commit the robbery. It's like why are you why are you punishing yourself for something that you either you haven't done or you haven't done yet? Like why are you punishing yourself?
I'm losing you
like
on
that
this
to me.
one,
Like that's weird.
No, so if I understand, what he's trying to say is DeShaun Watson basically didn't hold out because he wasn't trying to retroactively punish himself. You see what I'm saying?
Kind of.
Like it was the league that was like we can't do anything until you play. And then since he couldn't play, you see, so that's
I'm with you, Tony. I'm sorry, Tony. I understand.
But I mean, look, it's awkward. Because again, like people are gonna get mad at Roger Goodell because
either way,
which is weird to me. Here's the weird part: the same people who are mad that Roger Goodell appeared are the same people who want DeShaun to be suspended for 12 games, and that's what Roger Goodell wants. So it's like y'all motherfucker, you guys are hurting yourself in your own confusion. Like if this is Pokemon, I hit you with Confuse Ray, and you're doing damage to yourself because y'all want Roger Goodell fired,
right?
And y'all don't want him to use his power, but then he does it, and he's the bad guy. It's weird.
I think if you were gonna, and this is Pride to your point and Tony's, because I got something great for Tony. To Pride's point, I think it's more so like if you're gonna do it, but don't do this whole new judge system and this whole thing. It's like, what are we talking about? You have this power, then I should be able to trust you. You know what I mean? But I also see it on the other side of things. And then, like Tony said, Watson can be like, well, you didn't go through it through a legal way and yada, yada, yada. But
so
Tony,
basically, your problem, point, real quick, because I just want to clarify, your problem isn't the fact that Roger Goodell would appear. It's just you're doing extra steps. So, and you were going to intervene anyway.
That's my thing. Is like,
okay, I see. Okay,
it's like, what does her opinion even mean? Oh, she's the most respected judge in the world. Then why are you refuting it? If that's truly what you believe, then why are you refuting it? If Santa Claus comes down my chimney every single Christmas, then why am I questioning how he's going to get here? Like, I know it's going to get done. But Tony, to your point, you kind of said, well, it's kind of on DeShaun as well, because it's that conversation of, well, if he steps on the field, then he's suspended indefinitely and they don't want that to happen. Tony, if my girl looks at me right now, Pride, I'm not going to throw you into the fire, but I know you've been here at some point in your life. Tony, Jonathan, I can't speak on y'all. If she has my phone in her hand and says, who's been texting you? I can answer that question and the conversation can start.
Yep.
But I don't want to answer that question and start that conversation because the second I say anything, I'm done. Yeah. It's over. I'm just going to sit here and pretend like I'm Lil Uzi. Uzi, wake your ass up. I ain't up. I'm asleep. I ain't doing this. It's not happening. Nope. I don't even know. I don't even have a phone, bro. Like, I don't even know what that is. I have a Nokia. I have a BlackBerry. It ain't going down like that. I got a flip phone. I don't even get FaceTimes. I don't know why Little Caesars is calling me at that time. But, Tony, that's the point, is like, DeShaun knew second he does anything, indefinite suspension. And I think what you want to avoid is, well, let me prove to you that this is wrong, because the way the NFL has been set up, like Pride said, Ray Rice, all these other individuals, Kareem Hunt, Colin Kaepernick, which was a whole different situation, but still justified the same way to Roger Goodell, is, all right, well, we're going to get you away as soon as possible. Watson was in a situation where it was like, I'm already not playing because I don't want to play here. I don't want to get hurt. Now, if I play, you're going to tell me I'm suspended for a year. I'm definitely not getting out of Texans anytime soon. So I'm going to sit here and do it my way and clear my name as best as I can. So I kind of understand where DeShaun was coming from with it, because it's like if he were to say or do anything football related, that man was toast. And you're probably looking at something worse than the Cleveland Browns right now. You're probably looking at a guy who's going to be on the New York Jets or the Carolina Panthers or something along those lines. Like that's something that I don't think he wanted to even go through. He wanted to go to Miami. That's the big thing. You look at his connection with Brian Flores, he wanted to buy that out, and it just didn't transpire that way. It turned into something completely more with 20 plus women. Because at first it was what, like 3 or 4.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah,
small
it started
handful.
off with a small.
Then
number.
it was like you just woke up one morning. I see Joe's show on the network, and he's talking about 20 something women, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And I do want to say real quick too, I think the biggest issue, and I myself included, that I have with the whole Roger Goodell thing is because, again, we've seen Roger Goodell drop the ball so many times, and it's like, like y'all said, you hire this former federal judge who's supposed to be the best at what she does, to get her to look over everything, get
and
her
to your
opinion,
point, a woman, so it's a big deal.
And you have her go through all of this only to be like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna listen to anything she does, and I'm gonna still do my own thing. So to me, that's where I'm like, look, Goodell, you're gonna screw this up. I already know you are.
Right.
So it's like just get it over with.
Sounds sexist to me. I think we should fire Roger Goodell.
I've been on board for this for years. Like
sounds
that
like
man
sexist to me,
so many times. But anyway,
I don't know, man. All I know at this point, bro, free Watson. I don't even care anymore.
I've been wanting Goodell out for the longest. I think.
Yeah, I don't know about free Watson, but
I said what I said, and I said what I said, and I meant it. Look, it don't even matter who replaces him, who replaces Roger Goodell, because guess what? Oh my God, he's so amazing, so phenomenal. He's gonna be doing the same exact stuff.
Well, you guys know once
because the unfortunate reality of the situation is you have too many corrupt owners in the NFL. That's why the NBA is different.
Yep.
There's not like the corruption ain't that deep, right? Like
no, it's deep, but it's not like
no, it's not that deep. No, that's what I'm saying.
Justified
like
deep.
It's there, it exists, but it doesn't overly like Adam Silver can come out here and slap it. He can slap an owner. He'd be like, "Yo, y'all dumb." Like I'm gonna slap the mess out y'all. I will set up on you. I'm bald and I will walk into a barbershop. He could be that brave and not have to be worried.
Right.
In the NFL, I think there's too much corruption for, and in my opinion, at this point, for any owner, for any commissioner to come in and be able to do something, right? And like that's just how it kind of looks like to me. Because like, and this is a perfect example. Roger Goodell is kind of doing what everyone wants him to do, and they're getting mad at him for doing it. So it's like you can't win.
Hey, but once DeShaun Watson get back on the field and he starts winning football games, we'll forget all about this.
Well, the thing is about that, Jonathan, is how many games is he going to be able to win, and what's the position of the Browns going to be? I think when you really look at it, having that understanding of we're going to load up the box and force Jacoby Brissett to be Jacoby Brissett. And that's a problem. So let's say, like Pride said, let's say it's 12 games. You got 5 games left. If you're not a 500 team by the time DeShaun Watson gets there with the Ravens and the Steelers' new offense, you're really looking at it like, what position are the Browns going to be in to make the playoffs? And that's what I think the problem is. He could win all 5 straight, but are they going to be 8 and 9 by the time that 5 games straight is over? Like, that's the problem. And that's where a lot of Browns fans are pissed off, because it's like you went through this entire 6 games of Jacoby Brissett with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, another phenomenal individual, spotless record. But it comes down to it to where
I thought you were about to say something else, bro. But let me shut my mouth before I get in trouble.
But you look at those two, and you look at the way they can run that ball with Amari Cooper. I feel like they can handle 6 games without DeShaun, but I don't think they can handle 12. I really don't, especially against Lamar Jackson twice. You got the Steelers defense twice. You got Joe Burrow twice. Like that's a problem. That's 6 games alone that I'm looking at. You can lose all 6 of those games.
I disagree, but pop off.
Yeah. But we'll move on though, because I want to touch into a little bit more lighter topics.
You shouldn't have said touch.
I know. Oops.
Oops,
my bad. Don't worry, Mike. I'll cash app you money for that. Don't worry.
Are you really? Really?
Yeah.
Cool. You can send it to the ASAP network. I promise it's in good hands.
Okay.
Wow.
So we'll touch real quick since technically we do have football starting tomorrow.
Fucking criminal.
We're kicking off the preseason tomorrow with the Hall of Fame games. We're gonna have the Raiders versus the Jags. Interesting note for anybody that doesn't know, primarily people who aren't Jags fans, which I know we only have like 2 that are a part of the network, and Ray and Chris Auburn.
Yes, sir.
Godspeed. Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne are not scheduled to play. The Jags have learned their lessons from last year when Etienne got hurt in the preseason, said we're not doing that again. And we've already seen so far, of course, like every year in August, teams get obliterated through injuries, aka the Buccaneers' entire offensive line is basically gone, which that's painful.
I think like 3 guys on the Denver Broncos too.
Yeah,
it's like what Tim Patrick would have 20 on one of their running backs that they actually were gonna feature more because
Devontae Williams, the
rookie
from North Carolina. Yeah,
that's
both ACLs. They're gone for the season.
Welcome back, Russ. Welcome back.
Literally. So
Zoinks.
Hey Russ, you going to make it work like you did in Seattle. Good luck, buddy.
Jerry Jeudy's going to be out by week 3, but that's his own conversation.
So if that's true, bro, it's scary times for my boy because.
But hey, Pride, don't worry, they still got Noah Fant, right? Oh no.
Oh dog. What a time to be alive.
Hey, all I'm going to say, Tony, I'm not trying to take over the show at all, but if you are playing fantasy football, Melvin Gordon is going to be everybody's best friend by week 5 for the Denver Broncos. So that is something to take into account.
On God.
But real quick, because we won't go too deep onto it because it's a preseason game. It don't really matter. Real quick, Mike, who do you have winning in this preseason matchup, Raiders or Jags?
Sure. Is Derek Carr playing?
I would probably say more likely not. He might play like the first drive.
He's expected to play, but he's only going to play 1 or 2 series.
Yeah. So
I'm going to break it down the best way I can, and I'm going to say the Jags actually win this game. And the only reason I say that is because I feel like they're going to actually play more of their starters for a longer period of time because they don't care. They just want guys to get time under their belt because a lot of these guys are new, whereas the Raiders – they have an understanding of who they are as a team. They're not going to play Crosby and Devontae Adams and Jacobs and Waller and a bunch of guys like that. So I feel like you're really going to see a lot of the second unit, not the first unit, but the second unit. Whereas for the Raiders, I think you're going to see kind of 3rd string, 4th string guys. They really don't want to go through those injuries, like you said, and especially with guys. Pride and I talked about it all last year. Forget Henry Ruggs' situation and Gruden. Like you're looking at Waller and Jacobs as being some of the most delicate guys on that roster. Like they get injured a lot. So I think you're going to see the Jags second string guys really getting a good work in. So I would say the Jags, but it's also the Jags. So I could say the Raiders. I don't. It's a nice way of saying, Tony, I just don't really care. I think it could go either way.
Oh no, I agree. Jonathan, what about you?
Yeah, it's a preseason. It's a preseason game. It's an exhibition game, so it can really go either way. But the Raiders are 3-0 in previous Hall of Fame games. So I mean, hey, history's on the Raiders' side. But I'm not saying they're going to win the game. The Jags could easily win the game because I'm with Mike on this, man. Mike makes Mike. Really good points. Yeah, I went blank on your name there for a minute, but
it's all right.
Hey, you know what, Mike? I'm with you on that, my friend. I agree with you 100%. I don't think the Raiders are going to really play their guys. This team already has great chemistry. They Why are you guys making faces?
I don't know.
It's my you ever try to look at someone
and then anything.
No. You ever look at someone and they start to laugh, and then you feel yourself about to laugh, so you're trying to look away. So I'm looking away, and from the corner of my eye, I can just see Mike doing this, and I can just see it, and
I'm just living, bro.
I'm
just living, man.
I'm sorry, Jonathan. I apologize.
Oh no, you're good. But I'm with Mike. I think a lot of the Raiders players are gonna rest. They're only gonna play 1 or 2 series to be done, be out of the game. No need to risk injury. It's only a preseason game. So yeah, the Jags could slide away with this one.
Okay. And then Pride, what about you? Who do you got? Raiders or Jags?
I'll be back. I have to make a second phone call.
Oh, gotta slide back in them DMs. You're all good, Mike.
What are you up to? Are you been on your best behavior or what?
Oh,
yeah,
I'm just talking to a couple Cleveland reporters. It's nothing huge. It's nothing major. I'll be right back.
I remember.
I think I know who he. I think I know who
Alright.
he's talking to.
Yes.
So honestly, I'll be 100% honest. I think I'm taking the Raiders, and ironically, the exact opposite reason of Mike and Jonathan.
Is it because you got a spot? Is it because you got a soft spotlight for
I love. All right, you got it. No, like honestly, I will tell you this: you guys are saying that the Jags want to play everyone. I think they're gonna go the opposite.
Yeah.
Like, remember what happened to Travis Etienne? Mike brought it up. Yo, in the preseason, he got hurt, and they're like, "Look, bro, we're like," and when they're thinking, I was like, "Look, we're gonna suck anyway. We'll give you guys your legitimate reps, you know, in the regular season, because in the regular season there's gonna be plenty of reps up in the air for a lot of positions, right? I think the only people who are probably solidified in there would probably be Christian Kirk, and that's just because they just paid him. Trevor Lawrence, because that's their future quarterback, and Travis himself, because they drafted him to pair him with Trevor Lawrence. Outside of those three, everyone else is kind of gonna be like, "Hey, how you did in practice this week?" That will either elevate, especially with a coach like Doug Peterson, who did that same approach when he went to Philly, where it was a thing where he was like, "All right, these are the guys that are set. Coach, what about me?" You're on a week to week, brother.
Mm-hmm.
If you do great this week, you're gonna see great minutes. You play poor, your minutes will be poor. And I think he's going to try to bring that same mentality. But I think, a situation of, I'm not going to kill these guys. I'm going to throw out the people who are basically fighting for, it's like what, a 52-man roster?
53.
53, so a 53-man roster?
Yep.
And I want to go play those guys that are fighting desperately to be spot number 40 through 53.
Yep.
Or 45 through 53, or whatever the case would be. Like those final dudes, those are the dudes I'm really gonna play. And I don't care about I think they're gonna go and do different plays, like awkward plays where you're gonna be like, "Doug, what are you doing?" And it's not that he's just throwing the game. It's like I'm gonna put you in a situation where now your football instincts are being tested, where you now need to make the right gut call, regardless of the outcome. I need to see you make the right call at that time, regardless of how the outcome of whatever the case may be. I think that's how the Jags are really going to play it. Compare it over to the Raiders. They're just really hooping. This is more like a fun thing for them. You know what I mean? It'll probably be a little ego thing for Josh McDaniels because people don't think he's really head coach material. So it might be like an ego thing for him. But I mean, if for me personally, the way I'm looking at it, I just think the Jags are going to take it a little easy because Imagine if Travis Etienne gets hurt again, and that's his first 2 years miss, bro. That's gonna be an awkward explanation, and guess who's gonna have to pay for that?
Mm-hmm.
Doug, and he wasn't even there. So,
Yeah.
Ironically, not only do I disagree with Jonathan and Mike, but it's for the exact opposite reason that I think that they're kind of like that coaching staff outside of Doug, that fear they had when Travis went down. I think that's going to try to take over them. So in the preseason, you're going to see them playing just randoms, like guys who like wouldn't even hack the USFL type of situation. So
Hi,
Mike.
Mike, did you get into some trouble?
No.
You get into some trouble?
No, I would never steal money from the network and blame somebody else. No, yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Being good? That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Chilling, man.
But,
always living.
But no, I kind of agree. I kind of agree with you, Pride. I think the Raiders, and I think mainly because Doug has been in this situation before with the Eagles. You know, the Eagles we saw for years now, they have a ton of injury issues. And that's mainly been due to home field because Lincoln Financial Field sucks. Hashtag we the boys.
Tony, real quick. Can I get a lull in the chat?
Lulls.
There we go. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, I don't think Doug's gonna risk that. Other than the Christian Kirk signing, I thought a lot of their offseason signings they did were really smart. They went and got Evan Ingram from the Giants, who, again, he needs a new system. The Giants have been mess for the last 4 years. Mike will be back. He was with the Giants, who was a mess for 4 years. They took Washington's top guard and Brandon Sheriff, so they
I
re-solidified that
love
offensive
that.
line.
Yes,
That was a
I
great
love
move.
that.
That was a
And
great move.
I think not only was it a great move, it was a phenomenal unsung move.
Yes.
Because and the reason why I say that, if this was Cincinnati who did that, we'd be praising them. We would be praising them. But because it's Jacksonville, people kind of forgot about that. I'm glad you brought that up. I thought that was a beautiful, intelligent pickup for them.
Yeah.
Plus, it was a veteran, so that way, if you don't trust, you know what I mean, he could help with the line checks too. So that way, you're now kind of taking a little bit off of Trevor Lawrence, while Trevor Lawrence starts to kind of get more acclimated to the game. So
exactly, and of course they got Walker in the draft. So I mean, they did really well. And even from watching a few of the Jags camp, like some of the guys they interviewed, the attitude now is just a complete 180 from what it was last year. Like, guys are happy to be there and they're excited about what Doug has brought. And I never thought Doug was really a bad coach. I really didn't. I think Doug is just one of those. He built a great Eagles team. Howie Roseman, for whatever reason, is able to finagle like everything to happen. Like, I still don't understand how he's able to pull off half the trades that he pulls off, and he still has flipping draft picks and whatnot. I'm like, what the hell is this? But it's like, I feel like, for Doug, he just got poached of a lot of his top coordinators. Like Frank Reich is now in Indianapolis. He's been actually fairly successful. Defensively, a lot of question marks, is what it is. But yeah, I feel like Doug didn't really get the chance. And I feel like now with the Jags, it's, new opportunity. There's expectations, but they're not like with Philly. Like with Philly, it's like, okay, are you going to win us a Super Bowl? Look at what we have. With the Jags, it's like, hey, you have a rookie. You have a great rookie quarterback. What can you do with him? Okay, awesome. Let me go work with this guy instead of, what I had with Wentz. Which, speaking of Wentz, because that's going to lead us into our next topic. Matt Ryan has gotten, and I know this is Pride's favorite person. Matt Ryan has gotten a lot of remarks given to him in training camp so far, and there's been a couple digs at Wentz and there's been a couple digs at Matt Ryan. The biggest thing with Matt Ryan is, people have been saying he's a jerk, and that could be because, he's been in the league a long time. Like, he was drafted in 2008. This will be his 15th year in the league. He was only ever with one team. He finally went to a Super Bowl. We all know how that ended. And now he comes into Indianapolis. It's a breath of fresh air. There's even people going as far as to say he reminds them of Peyton Manning in the building.
That's hilarious.
It is and it isn't. And the reason why I say that is because, to me, now when we look at it, 15 years later, Matt is kind of the older guy. He came around with a lot of these older style quarterbacks. He played when Favre was still playing. He was there with, Brady still playing, Manning, Big Ben, a lot of these older great quarterbacks. So it kind of makes sense. He probably has a little bit more of that old school quarterback feel to him. But Naheem Hines absolutely loves him in the huddle. So does Mo Alley Cox. A lot of players absolutely love Matt Ryan for what he's done. So, Pride, this is a two-part question. How successful do you think Matt Ryan can be? And is this kind of a shot at Wentz? Because even Irsay came out a couple months ago and said, hey, us trading that pick for Wentz, that was a mistake. We shouldn't have done that. And it's not like Wentz was necessarily bad. He threw 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. They went 9-8. They missed the playoffs. So it's like, yeah, how much of that is Wentz? How much of that is really overall? The Colts have had a really bad wide receiving core for about the last 3-4 years now. They have not had a perennial wide receiver core since they had, Hilton. They had, Darius Hayward-Bay, and they had Andre Johnson for like a year.
Yep.
So that's really been the last time they've had a perennial big time, wide receiving core. And then other than that, they've just been doing it by tight ends. When they had Ebron, they had Jack Doyle, and then Mo Alley Cox kind of came onto the scene after Phillip Rivers was the quarterback. So, how far do you think Matt Ryan can go? And again, is this a dig at Wentz of basically saying, hey, now we basically have an adult quarterback in the room with Matt Ryan?
So let me answer your first part. How far can he take them? Not far at all, because how many times in Atlanta has he had more talent around him, and they couldn't even make the wild card?
True, but how many of those years, at least the last 4, because we'll go back to 2018. How many times has Atlanta had even a remotely
and here
not bottom 5 defense?
But Tony, that's right there is where you're falling into my trap, because you have to go back 3 years. Unfortunately, those 3 years or 5. Unfortunately, those 5 years can't be returned back to Matt Ryan.
No, not at all.
So you still have an older Matt Ryan who, with more talent, still couldn't get over the hump. Back when he was in his prime, he couldn't really do it, right? Only made it to 1 Super Bowl, right? Choked the lead, right? You now got that older Matt Ryan. You're putting him with the Colts with a wide receiver room that is either too old if you're looking at T.Y. or way too young if you're looking at the likes of Michael Pittman Jr., right? And then there's no in between. There's no middle guy. It's like you're either you're too old and you're on your way out, or you're too young and you're almost there, but you're not there yet, right? So you got that. I mean, is he really going to do any better than what Carson Wentz did? I don't think so. I don't think so.
No, I agree with Pride. I don't think this is a major upgrade at all.
Honestly, I think it's a downgrade. No, honesty.
Right.
I think it's a downgrade.
I think you're better
100%.
off going with Carson Wentz.
And I'm explaining to you why, Tony. I'm explaining to you why. Multiple reasons why I think it's a downgrade. And by the way, before I tell you why it's a downgrade, was it a shot? 100% it was a shot. And the reason why I don't take anything of value from it, the same people who are taking shots were the same people begging Carson Wentz to go over to them. The same people who are taking shots were the same people who were begging Carson Wentz to have their locker next to his. The same people who are throwing these shots are the same people who said, man, as soon as he got traded, I'm going to miss him. Now, all of a sudden, you got all this stuff. Look, unfortunately, the Colts they're a mid-team. They're not great. They're not bad. They're a mid-team. And what really got them mad was that they thought they were going to get MVP Carson. What they didn't do was look at the improvement. The biggest knock on him was that he was a turnover machine. And it is the lowest in terms of turnovers he ever did his entire career. There were bumps, sure. But if you gave him more time, and I will say this right now, had he been with the Colts one more year to get acclimated with everybody, this year he would have had still under 10 interceptions, and probably could have had like 25-30 touchdowns and could have led them to like a double-digit wins. But no, you want to go with Matt Ryan, who in his career highlight, it's an MVP they gave to him because they were like, oh, we feel bad. So let me just get that out the way. To all people, and again, Frank Reich, really? Like, that's how you're feeling? Holla at me week 4 when Matty Ice is too cold to even pick up a ball. You let me know. You let me know how bad you want to go get Carson Wentz then, buddy. All right? Gotcha. Anyway, I'm going to tell you why it's a downgrade. You're getting an older guy who has arthritis. Okay? You're getting a guy who wrote in history class, he just wrote down what he was doing. You remember those old TV shows, The Land Before Time? Matt Ryan was the cameraman. You know how we always wondered who recorded this? That was Matt Ryan.
The Land Before Time with Littlefoot?
Yes, yeah. Like that was Matt Ryan. Okay.
So like was Tom Brady the meteor then, or like was Tom Brady like the Big Bang Theory that happened? Like what is Tom Brady?
Tom is Earth. Yeah, he's the actual planet. That's how old he is, bro. He's the actual planet. He was there before anything else. I don't know, man. But you're looking at a guy in Carson Wentz who knew his role. And I think that's the biggest thing the Colts are going to miss. You're going to like Carson Wentz was like, wait, hold on. You only want me to throw the ball 9 times? All right. Ayo, Jonathan Taylor. Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. One more time. Can I throw it? No. With my shoulder? No. All right. Here we go. Like, he understood it. He basically did whatever was needed. I'm telling you right now, you're not going to see the same from Matt Ryan. The same Matt Ryan who you hear him. I still got a lot in the tank. What tank? I don't understand. Like, I've never understood this false narrative with Matt Ryan and winning. I've never understood this false narrative before. Because ever since they got him, all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, yeah, he's a winner. And I'm like, only thing he won was participation awards. I don't get this false narrative about how he just comes and wins. I never understood it, you know? I think it's gonna be a situation where now you got to start over again with a new quarterback, a quarterback Frank Reich is not acclimated with. So now it's like, okay, do you as the head coach make Matt Ryan become acclimated with us, or do we get acclimated around him? What do we do? And you can't really look at the tape because the last few years, to your point, like, he ain't really had much. So that's what people are gonna say. Oh, he didn't have nothing. So you really can't look at tape. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like you're kind of in an awkward situation where you kind of got Matt Ryan, just gotta cross your fingers and hope. You saw what Carson Wentz did in your system. So
well, and before I let Jonathan go, I do want to point out a real quick statistic. So Carson Wentz is 44, 40-1 in his entire NFL career, and Matt Ryan is 120-102 in his career. Just so everybody's, so the difference is not
that
major.
great. No, it's not.
Jonathan, what's your thoughts on it?
Matty Ice has melted. He's melted. There's no more Matty Ice, just like there was no more Vanilla Ice after a one-hit wonder that made him popular and famous. But I just don't see it with Matt Ryan. And I don't know what Frank Reich is thinking here, because look, you have familiarity with Carson Wentz. You worked with him before as your quarterback. You basically wanted him to be your quarterback because he worked well in your system. And now you want to bring in Matty Ice, and now you want to experiment with a different quarterback? Come on, dude. Stay with Carson Wentz. See what Carson Wentz can give you. I know Carson Wentz is also delicate. He's an injury-prone type player too. But I think you'll have a better chance of winning football games with Carson Wentz than you would with Matty Ice.
Yeah, and that to me, I will say, as somebody who, I'm from Indianapolis, I've watched a lot of Colts games, living back in Indianapolis now, that was probably the thing that disappointed me the most with Wentz. It was like when I watched the Seahawks game, that first game last year of the season with Wentz as the starter, it was like, okay, he's going to probably lose that game. Russ, Seahawks are better overall team because of Russ, and their Wentz is having to get acclimated to the system. And then when they faced the Rams, and they were literally about to win, and then Carson Wentz was like, "Oh, my ankles, they're gone." Boom. And you put in whatever number 9 is on the Colts. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But he was like, it was either him or Sam Ellinger, which honestly,
I think it was Jacob
Eason. That's right.
Yeah, Jacob Eason. Yep.
Yeah. So, and me having watched a lot of college, I've been like, well, if you're going to throw in just a random quarterback to do it, I'd put Sam in there. I'd rather watch Ellinger at least potentially try. You never know what you got with him. And then the Rams ended up winning that game. It's like, okay, well, it's only week 2. That's not bad, but it's like, okay, Carson, I'm not expecting you to put your body on the line every single time, but it's like you were fine. Like you went out the very next week and you played fine. Like I don't understand what, and you're standing on the sidelines, you're walking around. You could play. I've seen players play through significantly worse. I don't know what your problem is. But I think the other issue to me is, so we remember how all of this came about. Basically, Wentz was unhappy with Philadelphia. They got a taste of Big Dick Nick, and he won him a Super Bowl. And they're like, they got rid of him, so now Carson is the dude because they paid him a ton of money. And it's like, okay, well, Frank Reich left, so now Carson has never been the same since. Him and Doug Peterson didn't get into it. Then Jalen Hurts pops into the picture, and then they're like, okay, time for Carson to go. Frank is like, whoa. I did great with Carson. Let him come back into my system. Let me try to rejuvenate the Carson of old. I will say, ever since that injury, when they went on and won the Super Bowl, Carson has not been the same since. He's very hesitant because used to, if you remember when you watched the old Carson Wentz, how big of an athletic body was he? How much if he was like, you know what? I don't have anybody to throw it to. I'm going to take it. I'm going to run. I'm going to force this first down, and did not care in the world. Biggest honey badger. And ever since that injury, Carson's like, I don't want to do that. Like, no, I might take a hit. I don't want to do that. It's like, again, I'm not expecting you to go out and, get, several broken bones every single game. Not asking that by no means, but it's like, to me, I saw the difference. And I think when he got to Indianapolis, Frank got him. You had an entire 17 games to look at him. And I think he was even hurt during the preseason. There was like questions if he would even start week 1, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to me, Frank is like, well, I could keep Carson. We're probably going to be about the same. And then once you lost out on the DeShaun Watson sweepstakes, which you figured they probably were, Texans weren't going to trade him to their in-division rival. Like that just wasn't going to happen.
Right.
Tom Brady wasn't on the market. And then you really didn't have a whole lot of plethora of good quarterbacks after that. Like there was talks of, okay, maybe we'll get Baker. That's not really an upgrade. Maybe you can get Jimmy G, maybe. And then the 49ers are like, JK, we don't want to actually do that. So it's like they didn't really have a whole lot of great options. I feel like out of the quarterbacks that they could go out and get, Matt Ryan was really the best. Again, because he at least has the veteran leadership. Again, I think Frank lost confidence in Carson. So it's like, I don't really want to go with that. Let me at least go with Matt Ryan. Let him kind of finish out his career with a team that's not a total dumpster fire in Atlanta and just go from there. That's my thoughts. Again, I don't know if Matt's necessarily an upgrade. Again, I think I could still see them going about 9-8, 8-9, but I don't really see them going any farther than that. I would still almost pick them to be favorites in the AFC South over the Titans, to be 100% honest with you.
I wouldn't.
Really?
With Carson Wentz, yes.
All right, Rachel, I'll talk to you later.
This guy out here throwing shade.
Hey, guys.
Just a little bit.
But I will say that I don't. As a matter of fact, I'm glad you're here. Ryan Tannehill is gonna obviously lead this team to the division. Look, if the Colts had Carson, I would say yes. A Derrick Henry coming back with I don't know if you guys seen Traylon Burks.
Oh, favorite kid out of the draft.
Look, they had the whole thing about his asthma.
Mm-hmm.
There's a surgery they had that he just implanted a tank full of that stuff in his chest because this kid is just like running like there's no tomorrow. The kid is doing sprints for no reason. All that stuff with a defensive Tennessee that you gotta respect. I'll be honest. It's the best defense in that division. In the AFC South?
Indiana's there. Oh, well, I guess I took their defensive coordinator as my head coach, so I really don't know what to call them.
I'm just saying right now, I think the Tennessee right now, as everything is right now, obviously things can change, but as of right now, Tennessee has the best defense in that division.
In the division. Better than Indy.
I still think Indy's
I'm gonna say it one more time.
I hear you though.
In that division,
I respect
they have the best defense.
I respect your opinion.
Okay.
And I think if you want to say Indy's in the conversation, sure. But I'll be honest, I don't think the conversation's long. I think the conversation starts with who's the best and it ends with the Titans. I think that's the conversation. I don't think, not to say that their defense is bad, but we got to remember last year we was giving that defense the Guac 3000. And we basically, like, you know what I mean? So I feel like people don't want to give the Tennessee Titans any credit because Ryan Tannehill's their quarterback.
Pride kind of valid right now. Tennessee's ranked 11th and Indy's rated 13th. That's not too far apart, but when you lose your, defensive coordinator, it's definitely going to be something.
Which I do want to say, Mike, you're welcome twice, and I say that because he was originally on the Cowboys when the Cowboys did great with their defense, and then he went to my Colts. And now he's with my other favorite team, the Bears. So, welcome like 3 times for that.
But I'm just saying, man, like, you know what I mean? Like, I just think that the reason why no one's giving him credit, I think it's me. Because I had a take a while ago, and I at the moment, I refused to die on that hill. I remember exactly what I was doing and where I was. I sent this text message outside of the Chinese place near my house. I said that Ryan Tannehill was the top 10 quarterback. I clearly was hungry because after I ate, I was low-key embarrassed of the take. So I took a break for like 2 days to let it simmer. Unfortunately, it has not simmered.
I was so tight. You weren't on that morning show following those 3 interceptions. I was tight.
say, Pride, did you have to do like what I like I had to have a conversation about this with one of my guys before I left the service. He was like, I want to marry this girl. And I said, time out, do me a favor, go in the bathroom, go rub one out, get some post-nut clarity, and then come back and tell me that you want to marry that girl. Is that what you had to do? You had to get some post-nut clarity about that whole Ryan Tannehill being top 10?
That's what I do before I decide to go out.
This is what I did. So I ate, and I was like, I don't think that made sense. So this is what I did. No bullshit. I swear to God. I looked myself in the mirror, and I said, Ryan Tannehill is a top 10 quarterback. I started laughing. As soon as I started laughing at myself, I was like, I'm done. I am not defending it ever again. I will take my L. And then, like, what was it? Like, I think the next week or the week after, it was that same day. Because this happened on a Sunday. He had a horrible game, which I thought was unfair because like the whole season he was playing pretty solid, right? Where like I feel like had I said that 2 weeks ago, and then he had that game that he had the week prior, I think he would have been like, all right, you know what, Pride, I disagree, but you're not crazy. I think what was the icing on the cake, like, was like that same day, Ryan Tannehill was like, Pride got my back. I got something for you. And he threw 3 picks. And I was like, God, I was like, yeah, after that, I was like, you know what? I'm chilling. I'm vibing. But I genuinely believe they got the best defense in the division. I think they got the best running back in the division. They, in my opinion, they got a better wide receiver core.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So it's like, you know, some of these, and in my opinion, I don't care what anyone says, I'll say it to my diamond. Mike Vrabel is a better coach than Frank Reich. We can fight about it. We can fight. But before we fight, sit down and think on it. Because I feel like when I say that, people get upset.
No,
they just
Frank
think I'm just
Vogel
being
has a
biased.
better understanding of the game on both sides. I think Frank Wright is more of an offensive guru type of coach.
And honestly, I think for the only thing that I would really ever, slide against, Mike Vrabel is you had Marcus Mariota as your quarterback, but he was still able to take him to 9-7. Like that was the only thing I ever had against Mike. It was like you were the 9-7 king. Like you were
remember this. Frank wrote. I mean, Frank.
That's twice. I knew you did it the first time, and I was like, I'm bugging. Hold on,
Mike Vrabel. Let's be honest here. He played under Bill Belichick.
Which is why, like, for me, it's like hard for me to give him that credit, because when I usually do, people just say, "Oh, that's the Patriots in you," and it's like it's not really the Patriots in me. He made Marcus Mariota look like a starter. If you don't believe me, he went over to the Raiders where they wanted to replace their starting quarterback, and the kid still couldn't hack it. Then when he was like, "Oh yeah, I want to try to test my luck," no one cared for him and no one wanted him. The only team that was really interested was Atlanta, and that's just because they had just traded Matt Ryan. It's the only reason why. So it's like, I don't want to say he's a bum, but he's a bum.
Yeah,
he's a bum.
And
maybe one good quarterback that came out of Oregon.
Herbert.
He's a bum.
Huh? Who's a bum? What?
I'm on my Lennon Crisp right now. He's a bum.
I was listening. Who's a bum?
Justin Herbert apparently.
Who's a bum? He threw 5,000 fucking yards last year.
He's a bum. He's a bum.
Fuck.
He's a bum. If you gotta make your argument,
every Oregon quarterback is an argument.
He's a bum. I'm on my Lennon Crisp right now. He's a bum.
He's the greatest physically put quarterback since fucking Peyton Manning and
that's a lie.
Luck.
That's a lie.
How's that a lie? Josh Allen drinks a keg of beer before a game.
I can name you one individual who's got a better body than him.
I swear to God, if you say Ryan Tannehill, I swear to God.
Not Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill, go respect him.
He looks like a Roblox player. He looks like some shit out of Minecraft.
No, okay, hold on. Justin Herbert with his long hair looks like he should be trying out for like Team USA for the female soccer.
His hair is short now. It doesn't even matter. He's has more of a fade than me.
And you know what else is short? You know what else is going to be short? His career. Bozo alert.
What is happening
By the way, let me just say one thing. I have been one of, if not his biggest supporter. I am on my Lenny Crisp right now. I have to slander somebody, and to show I'm not biased, I have to slander someone I hold near and dear to my heart. I hold Justin Herbert near and dear to my heart. But
you had this whole opportunity to roast Matt Ryan. Like, I thought for sure, like, the Matt Ryan roast was going to come out, and you're like, nah, Justin Herbert? Nah, maybe one good quarterback ever come out of Oregon.
I'm just saying. No, I'm not. I'm just. All right, let me go back on Marcus Mariota, that fucking piece of shit. All right, because he's a bum. No, he's trash. Right?
Why are you trying to save the other guy?
No, because Matt Ryan. Look, okay.
No, why are you trying to save Marcus?
Marcus, I don't care about Marcus. I never liked Marcus Mariota. I've said this from the beginning. The second that Tennessee got him, I was like, he's not surviving his rookie contract. I've said it since before I knew how to spell the word sports. I am like, my IQ. No, I can't. If you tell me to give me a pen and paper. Matter of fact, I'll type it as a banner. You could put it up because I'll be 100% honest, bro. Like, this is how I think you spell sports. So that's sports. So right there, that's how I think you spell sports.
Am I seeing something right now?
Am I close?
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there. Am I close?
What am I missing?
Am I close? You know what? You want to know what you're missing? Eyes, because clearly you think Justin Herbert's good. What a shame. Tisk. I have to slander him. Listen. I'm gonna tell you this right now.
I don't even have to respond. That's how bad it is.
Please don't, because then I have to go down deeper, and then I have to make. Then people actually think that's my legitimate take. The day Mac Jones throws 3 interceptions this season, I'm entering. I'm on my Jonathan Mathis. We gotta trade him. How Jonathan is for Craig Kimbrell, I'm gonna be like that for Mac Jones. This kid's we gotta trade him. He's a liability. I'm doing one of those. Doing one of those. So no one's safe. There's only one
Craig
person
was solid out of my team. I'm just saying. Then he went to the South Side and shit went bad. That's all I'm saying.
See, hold on. He was solid on your team. He was phenomenal on my team.
That sounds like a you problem, bro.
He was solid with the Cubs until Tony La Russa started using him as a setup man. Tony La Russa.
Hold on. You said what? He was good.
Tony La Russa ruined him.
He was good with the Cubs until when?
He was with the Cubs until he got traded to the White Sox.
Until he got traded to the White Sox.
No, you're saying he said he was good on the Cubs until Tommy La Russa changed him.
Tony. He said Tony.
I said Tony. I didn't say Tommy.
He said Tony.
My fault. Drugs is hard, kids. Don't do drugs, man. Don't be like Pride. Don't be like Pride.
I'll give Jonathan that one. He said Tony.
Pride, you're trying to get me in trouble, man.
No. You got. No, that's on me, Jonathan. That's on me. Mike got it. You feel me? He checked me, so my fault. That's on me. Don't do that.
It happens.
Yeah,
fair, Jonathan.
Until the South Side of Chicago, he fell off.
But yeah, hold
on. He's an idiot. Tony's an idiot.
Tony ruined him. I'm telling you.
Yeah, hold on. We got like
me and Dustin talked about that too. We had a conversation about that not too long ago.
So yeah, before I forget, Matt Ryan is a piece of garbage. He's gonna get injured, and then when that happens, I'll laugh.
MVP.
Marcus Mariota is a waste of space, and in 2 years he's gonna be chilling with John Gruden unemployed, so he's a bum.
He already was a waste of space.
What was your team again?
The Chicago Bears.
Oh, Justin Field, waste space. Okay, got it. Anyway, yeah, come on, bro.
Hey, guess what? Hold on, I got this.
Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
You threw the ball 3 times in a game, but that's your future. Okay, cool. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
I'm so glad you said that because your guy had to throw the ball 50 and walked home with an L, right? Like it was Fortnite.
That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool.
Why does your quarterback? Why does your quarterback look like the kid? Why does your quarterback look like the kid that does the truffle shuffle from the Goonies?
I don't know. Why can't your quarterback play good football when the game is actually close?
Why does your quarterback look like the Hamburglar?
Oh, I'm so glad you said he looks like the hamburger. Can I ask you a question? Why does it look like that one of the hamburgers, my guy, still looks like he's on the top of your guy's head? I'm ready for the smoke. Who else wants it?
But I'm ready to play this season.
Why does your coach?
You want to put money on it right now?
Looks like Grimace walking.
Hold on. 2 people talk. Hold on. I one at a time. Go ahead. Someone go first. Who?
Yeah, you want to put money on the game right now?
Instigator. Who wants to smoke?
3 fucking people just spoke.
Mike, what game? Hold on, Mike.
Bears versus Patriots. You want to talk about whose statistics look better at the end of it? Justin Fields or Mac Jones?
Mac Jones' statistics will look way better.
Okay, cool. Put money on it.
20.
30.
40.
50.
Bet. Let's get it.
All right.
Hey,
You
hey,
think,
Pride,
you
real
think
quick.
I'm joking? I wiggle. Listen, when he smacks the mess out of Justin Fields and makes Justin Fields want to retire, that's it.
Why does
Oh, you heard that,
Go ahead,
Mike?
Tony.
You got a response to that, Mike?
Go ahead.
why does your offensive
See you
play
there,
caller
bro.
look like a hairy walking grimace?
Is that coming from the same dude whose your defensive playbook is engage 8 the entire play or the
Yeah.
entire game? I don't
And
want
does
to
it
hear
work?
it right now.
And does it work? Because
Apparently
we
not
have
in the
Micah
playoffs.
Parsons and we have
Apparently not in
Trayvon
the
Diggs.
playoffs.
I'm sorry.
Apparently not in the playoffs.
Didn't the Patriots draft a quarterback following drafting Mac Jones? Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
100%.
Thank you.
We did.
Bills dropped
you.
like 50 on them in the
So-
playoffs, while Dallas only lost
48,
because Dak
48,
Josh Allen,
48,
Josh Allen,
48,
Josh Allen,
48,
Josh Allen,
48.
scary ghost, scary ghost, scary ghost.
Nah, honestly, 48.
You want to talk
It
about
was
white
48,
kids that are
respect
good,
it.
that are out of shape? Look at Josh Allen, baby.
Yo,
Yeah,
Josh
Pride,
Allen.
how you gonna let a white quarterback run all over you guys?
It's Josh Allen. Shoot. It's Josh Allen. I ain't mad.
Bama.
I ain't even mad.
Anyway,
I was
Well-
about to question why Tony's face was so red at the moment.
White it
And
happened.
then I realized it was the light from the microphone.
yeah. It's
He
the
look mad
Irish
evil.
coming out of me.
He looks
Can't help
mad.
it. That little bit. It's like Rudolph. It's just like slowly creeping out.
Santa Claus gonna be calling, asking you to guide the sleigh.
Hey,
It's holiday
that-
season.
It's the
that
second time we
times
talked
is
about
tough.
Santa
I
Claus.
need free Christmas.
Free Christmas.
I can't wait till Halloween, bro.
you telling
Anyway,
me?
speaking of, we also have another type of football coming up this month. We got college football is coming back at the very end of this month. Now, there has been a interesting idea pitched out for college football. Now, for those of you that don't know, all the bowl games are usually played at the very end of the season. And a lot of times, those games, unless you're pretty much playing in the actual playoffs, the
Right.
bowl games don't matter.
Right.
So there has been a pitch that they play the bowl games before the season starts. So pretty much like all the bowl games that don't really matter. So, you know, like your All-State Bowl, like your Cheez-It Bowl, stuff like that. It's like, it's just kind of weird, you know, but big time crowds that will be there at neutral sites playing the bowl games before the season starts and then have your season go on. So I want to get my take on it real quick out of the way.
Mhm.
I'm not exactly upset about it because you think about most of these bowl games, like, you know, say you're a fan of, you know, Wisconsin. I'm going to say two things on that. One, you're wrong for being a fan of Wisconsin.
Hey.
Two, you know, your seniors are probably going to sit out because a lot of those dudes are like, nah, I'm going to the NFL. This bowl game doesn't make a lick of difference for me, whether I play or not play. This ain't helping my draft stock. This is only another chance for me to get hurt and to potentially hurt my future. So a lot of the kids sit out. And, you know, we even saw with Notre Dame, Brian Kelly, before that bowl game, he's like, yeah, I'm in LSU now. We're like, whoa, what? It was Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley's like at USC. Bob Stoops, you can come back for a game. We good. Like, whoa, y'all can't be doing that.
100%.
So like, to me, I'm not exactly upset. Like, it would be cool because, again, you could have more of these kind of out of conference matchups. Like, you could have, you know, the Alabama versus Texas in a game like this beforehand. You know, you could have more of these bigger games happening instead of like, oh yeah, let's see Nebraska and Northwestern and Ireland for the very first game of week 0 for college football. That's as Frankie would put it, that's going to get my nipples hard. Like it's not going to happen. Like, so Jonathan, I'll let you go first. You know, do you like this? Because I think if I remember right, you're USC guy, you're a Trojans fan.
I'm a Trojan fan, yes.
So what's your thoughts on it?
I mean, I'm not so upset about it. I think more than anything, it's weird though because you know you're not used to this kind of change, right? You're used to seeing the bowl games near New Year's, on New Year's Eve, or on New Year's Day. So it's gonna be a little bit weird to see this happening before the season actually starts or the first game into the season. That's just something that we're not accustomed to seeing. But yes, it will inspire these guys to play because it helps them build their draft stock, right? So they will be forced to play a bowl game, you know, as opposed to seeing a game at the end of the year where they're sitting out and not participating in the game at all because their biggest priority is getting on the NFL team, you know, and a lot of these kids, they don't go to college to be engineers, to be teachers, to be sports writers. They go to school to pursue their dream in the NFL. And, these games is a bridge to the NFL for a lot of these young college athletes. So, I'm not upset. What I'm more upset about is the realignment, though. I hate that, USC is moving to the Big Ten because of, you talk about the logistics of it, the travel, the scheduling, all of that has a factor into it. But this bowl game stuff, college football is trying to reinvent itself in different ways. And they're doing a little bit too much. But I think once we get used to the bowl games being played, if this does happen, I think if we get used to seeing the bowl games at the beginning of the season, it won't be that much of a problem because eventually you would have to get used to it.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I'm not exactly upset with the USC coming to do what?
How would they determine who's in the bowl games?
That's a good question, actually.
I feel like that would be that's the question I have. Like,
probably like projections.
I would say you could probably take you could do one of two things. You could either take the preseason poll of like, okay, who's 1 through 4. All right, as of right now, the season word in day, they're the ones playing in like the Sugar Bowl, the Orange Bowl, whatever. And then everybody else, they play in those.
Sounds like to me, Tony's trying to say the old white men are making the decisions again. And I'm not for that.
Yeah, pretty much. But,
fuck that.
And kind of like Jonathan said, college football is trying to reinvent itself because if you look at it, especially when you have, pretty much teams like Alabama, it's like, look at the last, few playoffs. It's like 2 SEC teams every single time that are always in the playoffs no matter what. And I think it's getting old. It's hurting college football. I don't know why I have a really bad echo.
Just happens. Just happens, bro.
But
it's all right.
But it's not as good as it used to be. So this kind of, to me, reinvents it a little bit as far as, putting things more interesting out there. Like Jonathan said, with USC coming to the Big Ten, now it's going to be more normal to see, USC versus Ohio State, USC versus, Michigan State. If they could get Notre Dame in there, that'd be a monster, TV money rating. But yeah, to me, I like it personally because again, it makes the bowl games more meaningful because again, unless you're a fan of one of these teams, it doesn't really matter. Like, okay, cool, you won the Chick-fil-A Bowl. What does that mean? Like what? You've been blessed.
You got all these bowl
twice.
games, man.
Like you won the game and the Lord blessed you. Like I don't know.
You got the Cheez-It Bowl. You got the Pizza Bowl. You got the Car Care Bowl. You got the Pacific Bowl. Whatever the hell all these
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A, man.
I hate Chick-fil-A.
I wouldn't be surprised if they got a McDonald's one. Do they have a McDonald's one? I don't know.
I don't think they could do that anymore because too many kids have diabetes.
Diabetes.
I wasn't making it. I was being so for real. I haven't seen McDonald's in a lot of things in a very long time.
That's true.
Yeah,
they're doing their own thing right now.
But Mike,
I'm surprised they don't have an Air Jordan Bowl. That'd be pretty cool.
What'd you say, Tony?
But Pride, not Pride. Yeah.
Seeing people out on the sideline sporting J's.
Tried so hard.
What's your thought on basically all this happening?
I don't really have one. I think like they can try to do whatever they want, but I even think about that about the Pro Bowl in the NFL and about the All-Star game in the MLB. I think no matter what, at the end of the day, it's a cool idea to have all of the best players on the field at the same time. And I understand the Pro Bowl is different, or the bowl games are different than like a Pro Bowl or an All-Star game, but in a sense it's not because it's, again, a meaningless game of the top tier teams. But to me, there's no real, like Pride said, how am I going to make projections if there's always that one dark horse team that can win games? Like when you look at Georgia winning the championship this year, everybody would have said it was Alabama. You're really having that conversation about you can't make projections because, again, like I said, and making a joke about it, be safe, Pride. It's a conversation of, old white men making projections about teams they don't even follow.
Yeah, be safe.
You be safe too, beautiful. But then I also look at it from that conversation of you can't do it in the middle of the season because everybody wants to win a championship. I didn't like the way he left. But, then you can't do it at the end because guys aren't going to play. So I think no matter what way you do it, there is no right way to do it. It's just not It's just not feasible. And then, Tony, to your point, and I think Jonathan made it as well, you can't do it at the beginning of the season because if your starting quarterback at the beginning of the season tears his ACL, you are screwed out of the season. You can't do it in the middle because you want to win a championship halfway through the season. You can't do it at the end because half of them aren't going to play. To me, as much as I like the bowl games, they are what they are. It's more so of a, if you're, my guys are in off the bench. Bowls are huge if you're from that town.
Yeah.
As a guy whose closest college is Northwestern, we don't care. We got the Bears, and that's it. We don't give a shit about a bowl game. We don't care about a bowl game because it's just not in the city. The city doesn't care. A small town, that's huge. That's huge for Louisiana. That's huge for Mississippi. That's huge for Tennessee. That's huge for some places in Cali. And that's huge for places like Alabama because they love places like that. They love the cities themselves, those small towns themselves, love those individual places. But at the end of the day, unless you're truly involved and truly there, it is what it is. Not a lot of people. I would say about 60% could care less.
Yeah. And I will say real quick to your point, Mike, I don't know if really you still have to worry about the starting quarterback tearing his ACL because I mean you're going to have that potential no matter what game you play, whether you're playing a regular season game, whether you're playing that. It's
would you rather you do it in a regular season game or a game that statistically means nothing?
Well, that's the thing because if you play it at the beginning of the season, it still counts for the season. If you win, you still count.
Right.
So it's if you do it at the end. I would almost rather I would almost rather it be at the beginning because say my starting quarterback is a sophomore. He can still come back his junior year.
Right.
Whereas if I do it at the end of the season, I've missed the playoffs and it's a meaningless bowl game and it happens.
100%. But
then I'm double screwed.
Let's say you're in a position like Oklahoma and you have a Spencer Rattler. You don't have a backup quarterback. Now I don't know who their quarterback is, but at the time, you have Spencer Rattler, and let's say Spencer Rattler week 1 tears his ACL. He looked awful anyways. But with that being said, if he tears his ACL week 1 and you don't have a backup, unless you're Alabama where you're pumping out Baker, Tua, Dwayne Haskins, not Dwayne Haskins, that's Ohio State.
Not Baker either. Baker was Oklahoma.
Whatever. But it was just, you know what? I'm done. Fuck it. Tony, next topic. I lost all credibility. I'm done.
No, you're good, buddy. That was actually.
Hey, I lose all credibility when I butcher people's names.
It's all right, Jonathan. We're gonna get here one day at a time. Tonight wasn't our night, brother, but we'll be back. We'll be back.
We'll be back. Say that was actually going to be our last topic for the night because we've been going for about an hour.
Oh yeah, great way to end. I fucked up. I went
great way to end because the Dodgers are about to play right now. I'm about to watch them whoop.
Okay, they are. Hey, shout out real quick to the Dodgers. R.I.P. Vince Scully. Again, I'm not a big baseball fan, but I watched a lot of shows today talking about how much they love Vin, how much of an impact he made on the baseball community as a whole. How basically they said that he tied generations of baseball fans together. It was like mom's home cooking. Like didn't matter how bad, how good everything was. Vin was always the consistent. You love to hear him. You love to watch him. So rest in peace to him. He's, again, I don't know him. He, from what I've heard, from what I've seen, he was the dude, one of the best callers and one of the best guys for Southern LA. Southern LA hurting because they not only lost Bill Russell, but then they also lose Vin Scully. So RIP to him. Mike, Jonathan, thank you for joining me, though. I appreciate it. It's been a hot minute since I did a show, and I was like, man, I really want to do a show tonight. And
yes, sir.
I got to make sure I got good people on the show with me. So I appreciate y'all joining me. I appreciate everybody that tuned in and watched. We had a ton of people. Please follow us, like, share, subscribe. Mike, of course, is on every single podcast. It seems like Mike is killing it. Mike is pretty much.
Hey, it's a lot easier to do these podcasts than it is to write a column.
Yeah, it is. I've only done one, and I was like, man, I don't know if I could do these constantly. I can't pump 6 of these out. I just can't.
It's not easy. It's time consuming. Writing is fun though, but it's just time consuming.
But but y'all can catch Mike on ASAP pretty much everywhere. He mainly covers everything Chicago. He even covers the WNBA, the Chicago Sky, if I remember right.
Yes, sir.
He covers them. He covers just about everything, anything Bulls, anything Bears related.
Everything.
Mike's doing his thing.
Mike's tired, but that's okay.
right? And
Mike's
then of
good.
course,
Just don't have any kids. You're gonna be more tired.
That's why I block every single girl I hook up with, so I'll never know. But that's them to deal with. Anyways, with that being
Right.
said, I gotta bounce before I continue to say horrible things. It's always been a pleasure. Jonathan, I love you. Tony, I love you.
too.
Freddie, where's my money? Bye.
bye, Mike. And of course, y'all can always catch Jonathan too. Jonathan's just about everywhere. Jonathan is actually going to be part of a new show that's coming up. I don't know if he wants to introduce it now or if he'll make it a surprise for everybody a little bit later. But Jonathan's going to be coming out with another show. You can always catch Jonathan. Jonathan also writes articles for us, which they're great. He's a lot more articulate than I am. I can speak pretty well, but when it comes to writing, I got a whole bunch of run-on sentences. I got what should actually be like 6 paragraphs is like one giant run-on sentence. English was never my strong suit. I could do great in foreign languages. I suck so bad at English.
See, I'm the opposite. Like you're good at this stuff, but I'm better on paper. I've always been that way. I mean, you're more articulate, through the podcasting part of it. I'm more articulate when it comes to writing it down on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. To me, people say they're both not the same thing. I don't know.
They do, and I can kind of see it because again, it's one of those at least for the speaking part, I don't have to worry about a run-on sentence. It's like I can just stop for a second,
right
at the end of my sentence, and
right.
it's like people don't contradict me. Oh, you can't put "and" at the beginning of the sentence. Right. I do when I speak. So, right. But again, like if you and sometimes it's one of those. Sometimes words don't always sound the best whenever you say it, but when you write it down, you can truly get a message across. So that to me is the big thing. Sometimes people can say stuff that can't be written down into words. And then on the other hand, some people can write stuff down that can't really be, truly, the point can't truly be, driven across without it actually being, written down for people to be able to see. Right. And it's a lot more difficult to take stuff out of context whenever it's written down. It's a lot more difficult to do that.
Right. So I guess the skill sets are different in a sense.
Yeah.
They're two different skill sets.
They are. But again, thank y'all for watching us. Please like, share, subscribe. You can always catch us here on ASAP. We're continuing to grow, continue to get bigger and better. Again, thank y'all, and we will catch y'all soon as preseason's getting ready to kick off. College football is getting ready to kick off again, and you're going to see a lot more ASAP shows coming on again as basically sports is getting ready to really kick off once again as far as football and whatnot. As soon as I find our intro here. Here we go. But everybody have a good night, and we will see y'all later. Peace.